There's several different answers, but if I'm going with just what I'm feeling right now, I'd say Q39 for the wings.
Q39. That's you're like not the only one to say Q39. Jack Stack,
Q39 is
Q39, Joe's, like some of these places just keep coming up. So
there is a place and I can't remember what it's called. It's over on it's over in Mission. Oh my God, I can't even remember. Oh, it's right near where Carol works. It's like this little shack and they have great barbecue. I still like Q39's wings over all else, but for the majority of the menu, that place, oh, and I'm gonna
you
think
need to
about
go
this all
back
night
there.
long. I can't.
You haven't been there in a
I
while.
do. It's like right next to a Chipotle across the street from a Planet Sub. Um, and it's like just down the street is a trading card game. I
It's
can't,
all right.
or
It's
a
so
trading card
someplace
store.
in
Mission
Mission.
Games is like right down the street.
Hey, I went through your I always
That's it.
cyber stalk people. Um, what is this about?
Okay. This is fun. Let's go. Dark Omens.
Yeah, what is that?
This is this was something I
I
think I was
assumed you
supposed to
were
be
in
a
it.
part of this.
Were you in it some way?
I was not.
Oh, let me get it out
No,
there
but
then. Wrong. I'm trying to get things you were
I
involved with.
do
I
remember
assumed
this
you were in it.
title.
What is
No,
this?
this does remind I think somebody had asked me to be a part of that. This was a student film that I was a part of. So right behind me, the gentleman behind me is Gordon Lamb. He's the teacher at Shawnee Mission West, if I want to say that correctly. I probably messed that up, but he's the film teacher there. And the girl to my left holding the clapboard is Asaya Montez, who was the director of Dream People. Um, to my right, the girl with the water gun is Nicole Hall, who was the star of that short. And then Wyatt Farrow is behind her. He was the cinematographer. And Michaela Gelsheimer, I want to say is her last name, is the girl between Asaya and Gordon. And she was the Asaya's assistant,
And
like
I've
AD.
actually I sent a
So it
message to
was
Asai
a,
about being on the show recently, but she hasn't really responded with a yes. But I have had Gordon and Nicole on.
that's all right. Yeah, they're all wonderful people. It was for a film competition. The script was written by somebody, and then four different teams, I want to believe,
Yeah.
made their version of that script, and I was in Asaya's version. So
That was
it
one of
was a really
my
good film. It
it was one
was
of my favorite. I've only been in a couple of these competitions, and I was in that one with the Clown of the Funeral Group.
nice.
But I thought it
Oh,
was
that's right. That's right. I remember that.
yeah, four or five films directed, same script roughly, directed by different directors, and then you see it, and some people cast totally different people than the other groups, and some add lines to it, and others don't, but it's basically the same. And I cannot remember what you
Yeah.
added. I think yours was the last one of the four or five, and you're the only one. You ad-libbed something at the very end that actually made it so much better. What was it you said? Do you remember?
It was the at the end of Dream People. Nicole says we end up back in the dreams where we're playing like the actors that would act in your dreams.
Yeah.
And we're like we're casing out our next target, and I get to be her sidekick for once. And she turns to me and she goes, "All right, there's the target," something like that. And she goes, "Can you improvise?" And I drop the weight that I'm curling with, and I said, what was the joke? I said, an alligator walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Hey, why the long face?" And she looked at me like I was out of my mind and she just walked away.
Yeah,
And
all the
the
rest of
idea
it just
was that she
says,
asked me,
"Can you improvise?" And that's the end of the movie. So I loved it that you did that. It actually made it. And what made it better was your placement. If you'd have been the first one, it wouldn't have been as funny. But because there were either three or four in front of yours that ended with that as the last line, and yours
right.
had one more line where we all think it's over, and then you have some, it made it, it was you that you
And
added a lot to that with that silliness.
like I said earlier, it's all about the team. No one person is more or less important than anyone else. And to that effect, we put in all of this work to make that film. And like you said, if it wasn't for the genius of the program director who put that one last, it wouldn't have landed the way it landed.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
even a person that you don't imagine would be crucial to that film's success, it, one wrong, so like you flip that one out for the third one instead of the fourth one, it's not that good.
It
But
still
that's
would have
how it
been, it would have
ends.
been
That's the
funny.
last.
It would have been
It
funny,
is.
but
But then that
yeah,
last impression
yeah,
makes it sticks the landing. And
yeah.
you
That
have to
everybody,
respect everyone involved.
everyone laughed because it was the only one that didn't end on that line. So I thought that was
Right.
beautiful. All right, tell me about Allow Access. And this one says a film by Nick
Allow
Gevichi. So I know I got you on this one.
You do. That's very true. Allow Access was the first short film that I actually completed solo. So Keenan and I wrote Cyro together, but that was more Keenan's baby. I was there to help flesh out his idea. Allow Access was mine from beginning to end. It was based on just a small throwaway joke that me and my sister had where we were going to Sonic to get a drink, and she had an app on her phone where she was ordering the drinks, but she lives like a mile away from the Sonic. So I was like, why don't we just go there? Why do we need to order it and then we'll be there in 2 minutes to get the drinks? And she goes, well, you get a discount if you put it on the if you do it on your phone. And I asked her why, and she's in social media marketing, and it's basically because of push notifications and the it behooves these companies to be able to send you advertisement on your phone. So if you download the app and allow access to your data, they can cater their marketing and their push notifications knowing exactly how to get you to come buy their thing. And so that spun off in my head into what if the what if the people at these fast food stores were replaced by AI? And now the AI, like the app is reading your metadata, looking through your Facebook, getting all of your information, and basically holding you hostage in the drive-through for an upsell. And if you don't want to, it just gets more and more aggressive until they're basically just blackmailing you so that you buy one more hamburger.
That's great. And I know Tiffany Michelle fairly well. But
Yeah,
who is Christy Drew?
Kirsty Drew is a phenomenal actress. She's actually in Nathaniel Paul's next film, Heathens, and she was in the feature before that as well called Behind the Scenes. Um, I don't know that she's been in anything that Keenan has done, and I don't know that there would have been a place where you would have seen her.
Just
But
because you said it, I knew it
she's a
was
rock
next.
star. Okay, so right behind the caricature of my bald head, there's a girl with the vampire fangs with her hand
This
up to
one?
her mouth. No, no, with her hand up to her mouth. There you go, that one. That is the caricature of Kirsty.
Okay. Okay. I've just never
Um,
seen her name, so that's good.
right.
I,
The
it's,
other one is a caricature of Debbie.
yeah, and not that I've met everybody in Kansas City, but usually I've heard of a lot of people's names, even if I don't know them. So
Right.
tell me about Behind the Scenes by Nathaniel Paul. What is that?
Behind the scenes was actually a really interesting concept. I've only seen that concept tried a couple times, and it's a movie about a person making a movie with no budget and still goes over budget and isn't able to pay anybody that is involved with it because he thought that they were coming on as volunteers, but the person that was supposed to relay that message turned out to be a con artist and just brought all these people in thinking that they were going to be paid. So it's basically a Murphy's Law film of filmmaking. Anything that can goes wrong will go wrong.
Wow.
And I got to play the stagehand or the AD. Like I was just hauling heavy stuff around. I was a supporting character, but it was a very fun ensemble cast. And it was actually Nathaniel did something that I've never seen done, and it was a lot of fun, even though I know it was very stressful for him. He rented out an Airbnb, and for about a week, all of us were basically just there all the time. So it became like a house party for a week.
Wow.
And we were just like, as scenes needed to be filmed, a group of us would get up and go, and the rest of us would hang out and just like
That's kind of fun
shoot
though.
the shit and eat snacks. It was, and I know it was very hard for him to do, and it was very taxing to keep quiet on set and stick to the schedule. But the camaraderie that came out of structuring it like that was unmatched. Like it was the most fun I've had ever making a movie.
What's
That's
this?
behind the scenes of Allow Access.
Okay, okay, good.
So
Is
Tiffany
that
is on my
Nico?
left. Nico is was the sound guy on it, and Keenan's
Yeah.
in the back.
There's
It was a
Keenan,
skeleton crew. Yeah, we
Tiffany, and
did.
yourself there. Okay. Very
That
good.
is correct.
And the famous picture with everybody in
Yeah.
it is right
Yeah,
there.
man. All
Everybody.
right.
Everybody means you and I.
So there I am. Right behind me is Carol, who is in Cyro as a secondary character. And there's you, obviously, looming over everybody. Then there's Thomas, who played the doctor who treated Carol like shit, and Jessica Whitfield, who played Thomas's wife, Helene. And yeah, we didn't have all of the cast there, but again, it's kind of hard to get everybody to
It was
show
good.
up.
It was good. Hey, I liked it. I love it when something like one, there has to be a certain level of quality to get into a festival. It
Oh
has
yeah,
to meet a
absolutely.
certain minimum standard, and it's not easy to do at like the Kansas City Film Festival doesn't take everybody. So it's I mean it's not like one of
And
those where
even
they get five submissions, they take five, especially
right.
short films. I think short films, they get so many. If you make it in with a short film, it is really darn good too, because they get so
And
many.
that's another thing I'd like to talk about is even if you submit your film to a film festival, even if it's great, it still might not get in.
Yeah,
Because I've been fortunate enough to get taken on to a film festival out west. It's an Oscar certified film festival, and one of their affiliate programs that they started just before leading into that festival. Um, I got brought on as a programmer this year,
that's awesome.
and we got a handful of submissions that we had to go through, feature films that had graded well in the past, but because the program director just couldn't find a place for it in the program that would jive with the message and the feel of everything else, a, a great film that ranked like a 29 out of 30 was just left like out of the festival because it doesn't fit. So even if it's not always because your movie's not good enough, sometimes it's
Yeah,
because it's really good. It just doesn't fit the theme that they're going with that year. And so you just don't, again, it's one of these things where in this industry, the planets always have to align. Like you could get passed over for a role because you look just alike to somebody else, but your sideburns are just like a half an inch too short. And that's not what the casting director is looking for. Like you need to be great at what you do and look right. And sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow. Same thing with these films. You could have done the best job you could have done. It just wasn't your time that year.
yeah.
So,
Tell me about when you went
and that's
out there.
rough.
I remember you were talking about going out there, kind of being in the back room, hosting something. Tell us more about that.
Hosting for the film
Didn't you
festival?
go like to the film festival? You'd been in it before, and then you
Yeah.
went, you were in the
Yeah, yeah,
hosting
yeah.
room. Tell us a little bit more about it. What was the
So,
name of the festival?
5 years ago, um, I I went out to actually, if it's all the same to you, I won't mention the name of the festival because I
Okay.
don't want anyone to
Yeah,
get
it's
the
all good.
idea that they're gonna come to me for favors or anything.
Yeah, it's all good.
But I did get to be a short film at a festival 5 years ago, and then COVID hit and everything shut down. And then I went back as a volunteer, and then I donated like I volunteered like 108 hours of my time for this festival, and then the director of hospitality stepped down and put in a good word for me so that I could become the director of hospitality. So I went out there and started running that. And so I actually got to go back and help move the festival uh, more proactively. And then that same festival brought me back to be a guest programmer for their pre-festival. Like it's not actually that festival, but it's like leading into
Hmm.
um to try and re-qualify to be there. But it did work out very well that just putting in the time and passion and effort in something that I truly, truly believed in. Uh, it took 20 years for somebody to notice me, but I'm finally in a position where I can like just be around that creative energy and help people feel like celebrities for a week or so of their life. And hopefully they come back and you just keep building a rapport with them.
It's awesome. And you were in Los Angeles
So
about a
that's
month
it.
ago. You were in Los Angeles about a month ago as well. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. I got signed to a yeah, I got signed to a management agency. And they're looking to help me get uh representation in LA. And so they asked me to go out there because they were running they were the promotional company for um the oh God, the Unexpecteds. That's what the movie was called. I almost said The Untouchables, but it's a different film. The Unexpecteds was executive produced by Kevin Smith, and my management company knew that I was extremely influenced by him. So they asked me to come out and they got me on the VIP, and I got to go to a Hollywood after party and meet Kevin and a bunch of filmmakers, and it was a grand old time. I
That is
actually
awesome.
dressed up in a suit and tie, which I hardly ever do.
That is awesome. Hey, what do you think makes somebody good at something?
Uh, I mean, the Malcolm Gladwell philosophy of 10,000 hours is a really good place to start. Um, I think there's oh God, there's a lyric I can't remember from what song where, but um, it's you're making it off a gift while we're making it off mere talent. And to me, that means there are people who have gifts, but there are people who have talents. And a talent, I think, is something you have to work more on. People waste their gifts all the time because they just don't feel motivated to do anything with it. And I think there's a, especially in my generation, where there was like this huge emphasis when I was a kid to be in the gifted program, and they like elevate you to this almost elite level where they're like, oh, we expect superior work from you all the time because you're gifted. And it kind of leads to a lot of burnout where you're just like, ugh, if this isn't perfect, then why even turn it in? So there was a lot of stuff I never saw through because I just didn't I didn't feel like it was up to the standard that I'd been held to. So it's like a high functioning burnout. Um, but there are people who, and I really like this about the new generation. There's like a shift of how you speak to people where you don't say, "Oh, you're so talented. Oh, that's so good." You say things like, "Oh, I bet you worked really hard on that," or just things that are more encouraging of the effort that it took to
Right.
make this thing rather than just the natural oozing of something that your God-given gift. So I think what makes somebody good at something is the willingness to dedicate their time and passion to it. And I know there's an Eminem lyric where he talks about uh, if you add up all the time that I've done this in my life, that it averages out my pay to minimum wage. And I think that's a very real feeling where you look at somebody like that and you're like, oh, that guy is worth like three-quarters of $1 million. And but then you realize how long it took and how many free songs he did and how many times he took the stage just to be booed and come back again. And so like the time and the emotion and the blood, sweat, and tears that taxes you, it feels like nothing is ever enough. So I don't know that there's this monetary amount that you can say this is success because the people you look up to have been working their ass off to be to average out to just getting paid basically what you're getting paid at your menial job. Like if you feel like you're stuck, the person you look up to is probably working a million times as hard to make a million times more money, and it averages out the same. So you
Well,
just got to be
kind
willing.
of brings me to my next question. It's a little off filmmaking, but I
Yeah,
know I saw you. We were both at a Tech Nine video as extras. You kind of got elevated, and you know Tech Nine a little bit. Tell
yeah.
me about your music career.
So I don't really, I mean, I'm associated with Tech Nine peripherally, but um I don't like know him. I don't like go to his
Sure,
house or hang out with
sure, sure.
him.
Gotcha. He's an acquaintance.
But yeah, I can, he knows my name. I'll say that. But I did have the fortune of in the mid 2010s, I started doing spoken word poetry, maybe early 2010s. And then I found a little bit of success with a couple pieces that uh, were fan favorites. And then I came back to Kansas City and I did those at Poetry Slam in Kansas City. And I ended up taking second place in my very first one there because I did a very different style of poetry. I didn't talk about my problems. I didn't talk about like the things that have traumatized me in my past. I would always take those things and make up like a persona piece and deliver it like a dramatic interpretation in high school debate, if that makes any sense. Um, but because of that, it made it a lot more cinematic. So it appealed to people in a much different way, and the novelty of it elevated me to a point where um, I was able to catch a little bit of attention from some of the artists that were at Strange Music at that time. And over the next as I met them and befriended them over the next few years, I started cultivating that relationship, and then I eventually got brought on. The first association that I had with Tech Nine was because of the agency that I was signed to. They got me an extra role in his Like I Ain't music video. I got to play an undercover cop. Um, and that impressed them. So I got brought back for a couple other music videos, and then I started getting brought on for what I actually did, which was poetry. And since then, I've been on no, two Joey Cool albums that have been released and one that's coming up that I got to write a whole lot more for. And in
So
that one, I
you
got to
wrote,
write.
yeah, I'm just to make sure you wrote the song that he sang, or you were on it, and
No, no,
that's
no. He wrote his part, and I got brought on as a feature where I did a spoken word like intro or an interlude. And then on
gotcha.
the second album, I wrote the poems that were the intro and interlude. And then their Strange Music's producer, Matt, his stage name is Matt Phoenix, but Matt Peters was a phenomenal engineer. Structured this kind of creepy carnival vibe behind my words, and it elevated it to a level that I didn't even think was possible. And then I got brought back for Joey's next album, which has I've written like four skits, and then I have a feature on one of his, or just like another spoken word thing on one of his tribute songs. And I got to write other people roles too. So I got like Rachel Klawicki in there. I got Liz, not Liz, Lily Goychevic. I got Tiffany Michelle to go in there. So I've been trying to spread it out so that more people have that opportunity as my relationship with some of the strange artists grows. And last year, Tech even contacted me Tech contacted Joey and asked him to bring me in to do a little bit of voice acting on Tech's album, 5816 Forests. Um, and when that happened, I got to recommend a few people. So I took Kirsty, Drew, and Connor. Um, I forgot Connor's last name. Oh my God, that's not good.
I know who he is.
As
Real
my
tall
friend,
guys in
yeah,
Japan now. So
yes, that's him. He was in Cyro. Um, yeah, so I brought them in and I got them their little moment to be in there.
I,
And
I
I
have
mean,
to
it's
tell
good.
you,
I
that's beautiful. That is beautiful that you got on as an acquaintance, kind of with Strange Music crowd, and then you've actually made contributions. You've contributed. You've been in the videos. Like
right,
in Kansas City, that is like a huge thing. It's a huge thing other places, but in Kansas City,
right.
it's kind of like any celebrity that's a Kansas City celebrity, bigger here, but they're big everywhere. I mean, name them,
Right.
like Travis Kelce, like
And
whatever.
my agency, when I first got signed, they told me that there's a lot of work that we have to take seriously, but if Strange Music ever contacts us, we have to treat that like the Holy Grail because when they have resources everywhere, and for them to come into the community and help, like just offer anything to the local talent is a big deal for these agencies. So they were like,
Oh
you
yeah.
treat it with the utmost respect and professionalism, and you go in there and do your job and do it well. And so I'm very fortunate and I feel very blessed to have done a well enough job or a good enough job. I can't grammar right now. That
Well, good.
that they respected what I did enough to keep asking me back, and now I just have like that personal relationship with them, for in whatever capacity that is. But I
Oh,
also live by the motto of a rising tide lifts all boats, and I never wanted to be the person that got all the opportunities myself and then just looked down on people from whatever elevated status I was. Like if I'm going to a place where I'm lucky enough to be, I'm going to take the people that believed in me and my friends with me. Like, again, that's another thing I learned from Kevin Smith, from Adam Sandler. The people that were there with them when they were struggling to make it, they always put their friends back in their projects because it's so hard to find good people in this industry. So hard to find somebody that won't stab you in the back when the price tag is right. And so I'll always reach back and I'll always help these people who had my back when I needed it the most. So.
that's
Yeah.
great. Now I know you've done at least, as I know you were in Toronto for a poetry slam contest. Have you competed all around?
Yes. Well, all around is it's a
All
very
around, if you can
broad
say
phrase.
you've been in New York, any city in California, somewhere on the East Coast, and Canada, I'll say you've been all around. If you can name
Okay,
five, six places.
that's fine. I started spoken word in Buffalo. I got to compete in Toronto, and some of the neighboring cities there. Uh, I did a poetry show, or I did an open mic, sorry, in Hollywood back in 2013 at Dante's Poetry Lounge, which is owned by the guy who played Rufio in Hook. I forget Dante's last name, but and then I've done a lot of performing around the Kansas City area, Salina, Wichita, Topeka, Lawrence, even up towards Des Moines. There was a time where I was just trying to book shows for a showcase. And I would take my friends that I really like their work and we would carpool places and I would do my best to take care of them and put them on stage and make sure that they were heard. But uh,
Kind of like what
as
you're
with a
saying
lot of
earlier.
things,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's like the more you do it, the better you get. So if you went and you performed all over Kansas and in Kansas City and Iowa, New York, Buffalo, New York, and you went to Canada, California, like you get better at it than if you just did it once. I mean, you get
right.
better every time, and no matter what the skill is. Um, I think you get better. You're talking about free movies earlier. If
Yeah,
there's like 10 free movie opportunities and one paid, how about you did 11 things and you learned in each project rather than just the one? And I agree, it's harder to get
right.
the paid if you've never done the free because now you've done nothing. I agree with you.
Right. And they want to see what you can do, right? Like you're not going to come out of the gate and get paid opportunities. Like they yeah, know what you're worth, but also know what they're looking for. Like you need to have something, like some kind of metric to show them. And sometimes you got to do 10, 15, 20 different projects and put everything you have into it. It's nothing is beneath you because that clip that you get out of a movie that you did for free goes into your reel and then you can
Sure.
shop that out to somebody and go, "Hey, this is what I can do." And if that looks good enough, then they'll be like, oh, you can clearly play this role. Now play another role, and that you can play that role and that role. And then people are like, oh, he's got diversity. I mean, Ben Affleck is probably one of the more notable examples of indie indie actors who became a superstar. Like I mean he obviously would have gotten paid something, but you do a movie like Mallrats where you play a side character or like a supporting character and the movie turns out to be a huge box office flop, but you still come back and you do another movie, Chasing Amy, with the same director, that's a loyalty that you can't buy. And then that guy turns around and helps you and your friends sell the script that becomes Good Will Hunting and makes you a superstar. Like that's the kind of connection, that's the kind of teamwork that means everything. That if just on the success of Mallrats, it was nothing. It's a more than forgotten movie at this point because it doesn't age well and it was a cult classic just in its day anyway. So the what following it had has dwindled out, but those people are what make the connections that you make are worth everything. The paycheck,
And,
the money gets it comes in and gets spent, but then you become uh invaluable to the people that you helped out along the way.
hey, if you've ever heard about the like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, there were a bunch of actors that couldn't
Yeah.
find work, so they made a little script and did it. And they were talking to him and they said, "We need you to add Danny DeVito, so you have some star power, basically." And they said, "We all four work great together. We don't really need anybody." And they said, "Okay, well, that's the offer, basically." So yeah, so,
Right.
so they did it, but they all four worked together and were friends and kind of co-wrote and played around. And
Yeah.
this little 10 or 15 minute skit got made into that series that lasted for years, and all of them are on other
Yeah.
stuff now. And they started out just like people that didn't have very many opportunities, and they made
And
their own
that's
opportunities.
it's a people's industry.
Yeah.
Like how many at this point, how many stories have not been told? People are
Oh,
just
sure.
recycling this. They say there's only seven stories that can ever be told. Even if there's three times that, there, how many films have been made in the last almost 100 years? At this point, what's new under the sun? But so when you put a script in front of somebody with star power and you go, "Do you believe in this?" They go, I've seen it done better. But then you put your effort and time into it. What these people are now looking for is, like I said, the things you can't buy. How well do you work together? How much do you trust each other? What's the vibe? What's the chemistry? Is there drama? Like, am I going to have fun coming out here? Because I, those people have paid their dues. They don't have to move unless they want to. Jim Carrey could be retired for the rest of his life, but he only comes out for things that he believes in, like shows like Kidding. And he comes back for Sonic the Hedgehog because he loves being Dr. Robotnik. Johnny Depp is pretty all but retired unless they bring him Captain Jack Sparrow because he just loves that role. Keanu Reeves will always come back to do John Wick because he loves the energy and what that means. And so when you're talking about what the ultimate goal is, I don't think the goal for the people who have made it ever was money. The goal for the people who made it was always just to tell a story, just to
Mhm.
put their heart out there. And now they've elevated so far past that. It's like the art of fighting. You don't punch at your target, you punch through it. If the target is money, you might hit it. If the target is passion and belief, you're going to hit right through the money. Like people will see your heart come through you and they'll believe and they'll seek you out. Then, God willing, we all get to be the person who has so much money that we just get to invest in projects of passion. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I just have a couple more questions for you.
Yeah.
What have you done that you're most proud of on your projects? What have you done?
I I know it's going to sound really cheesy, but I'm proud of the friends that I've made. I've lost so many friends. Like there are people who I by all means, I've made so many mistakes in my life. I've said stupid things that have inadvertently hurt people and made them think the worst of me. But there are people, the people that I met that truly, like, we've connected and we know each other. I don't think I would have found them if it wasn't for art. Like, you find some really decent people in when you're around creatives who wear their heart on their sleeve. And there, I mean, there's always going to be people who are in it just for the quick buck or they believe it's all going to be puppies and roses and they just want to be treated like better than everyone else. But there are people who honestly, like me, grew up feeling invisible. And this is the like being on camera is the only time we ever feel like we're seen. And when you find those people that you vibe with and you just like, hey, you You feel invisible too. I do too. And then like you you get past that character. You get like the cameras turn off and you can still just be in each other's presence. And the community, however small it may be, that I still have is I wouldn't trade it for the world. If I had to give up and I know this is going to sound weird, but if I had to give up my dreams in Hollywood to, and that was the only way I could keep the people that I know right now, it would be hard to put away a lifetime of dreams, but ultimately that would go. I would keep the people that I have because I don't know who else is out there and I don't know how many people I trust, but I've found some amazing people doing what I've done who can have a conversation with me, who can dive into philosophy with me, who can laugh at the dumbest things with me. And that's worth its weight in gold. So I'm proud of, if I have to pick something selfishly to be proud of, it's my commitment in my life to have never let my childhood truly go away. Like I'm 42 now. I look in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, that can't be my face. I look old. That's off by years. But my heart is still uh, an 11-year-old with big dreams. And I think the people that I've found around me are at some level the same because they can be the goofiest, silliest, most wonderful people I've ever met in my life. And
No,
at
that's
the
a
at the
that's
risk
a
of breaking down crying, I think
no,
that
that's beautiful.
that's
That's
worth
beautiful.
everything to me.
I enjoy listening to you. What would be your words of wisdom at the end of the day? What's the words of wisdom?
That's an interesting question. Um,
You can call it thoughts of the day.
my thought of the day, the internet's not a real place, so put your thoughts into things that matter. Um, I've spent a lot of time trying to put little clips of pseudo intellectual wisdom, jokes, whatever, just to get people to like me or laugh or whatever. But I mean, and I still do it, but I do it now because I want to make the internet a better place. Because it's there's so much hate and anger and just fighting for no reason, and a lot of fighting for good reason. Like I'm not saying it's all unfounded, but there's I put my thoughts out there to make people's news feed not suck. But like I said, I keep a lot more to myself now. And there are a lot of times where I have to remind myself that the internet's not a real place. And I'll turn around and put that thought that doesn't necessarily have any relevance to anyone's life, and I'll put it in a notebook or in a Word document on my computer, and I'll go, that's going in a script. Because at least now somebody else has an opportunity to have that in their role, and somebody else can create a character around that. And I can help the people that I care about achieve their dreams if I don't just throw all of my thoughts away for nothing. So I guess all of that to say, I'll condense the words of wisdom into this: move with intention, strike with purpose. Don't waste your energy doing things for now. If you have any idea of how to shape that and make that just a little bit bigger for tomorrow, it's like the stock market, right? Instead of just spending it now, invest it now and use it tomorrow, even if it's just slightly bigger. Or let it sit a little bit longer and let it get slightly bigger. The thought might disappear, it might dip a little bit, but then if you still have it, someday you might come back to it and that seed will have grown. So treat yourself like you treat stocks. Invest in yourself in the long run, move with intention, strike with purpose.
I like it.
That's it.
Hey, thank you. I've truly enjoyed talking to you, Nick.
I enjoyed this. This was a lot of good. This did me good. I
Uh,
enjoyed being here. I needed to talk.
well, very good. Thank you, sir. You have a good rest of your night.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks.